What's in a name? Everything. The power of a name has long been immortalized in prose, poetry, and history. It is your face to the world, your ambassador of quality that reflects your ideals and aspirations. Thompson's, a name, a family, a tradition of excellence. So it is with Thompson's Toyota, where our professional and courteous staff are eager to help you drive home your dream vehicle from the largest selection of new and used Toyota cars and trucks at the best prices. And if your vehicle needs service, our Toyota factory-trained and certified service technicians have the skill and expertise to do the job right and do it right the first time. Thompson's Toyota, where you'll always be treated like family.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Today we're going on an ice fishing adventure to Flaming Gorge Reservoir in Utah and Wyoming. It's the dead of winter and we're going to target Flaming Gorge's famous lake trout and rainbow trout through the ice. Now stay tuned.
I'm Justin Wolff and this is Angler West Television.
It's not the middle of nowhere, but you can see it from here. At least that's what the locals say about Manila, Utah, gateway to Flaming Gorge Reservoir. It's a beautiful morning on the lake, and if the ice is solid and the weather holds, little can go wrong.
You're all right. We've been slick this morning.
Today, we're on the ice with Luke Ellifritz from Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Max Lure Pro Staff member Mike Hall. And if things go right, we'll end up with a full day of lake and rainbow trout fishing through the ice.
We just set up here. Mike just dropped, first drop. We've already got a fish on. Mike's fishing the white Sonic bait fish, 1/6, with a Trophy Trout Pro Cure on it. Looks like it's one of the smaller fish, but that's what we call a quick release. So things are looking up this morning. We'll go ahead and go to work with the chartreuse and white right now. We are already marking fish down here, so should be a good day.
I was one of the suspended fish. No hesitation or anything. He just come right up the lure and took it in.
Hey, right now we're graphing fish at about 55 foot up suspended. We're gonna just work this spoon real slow. It's a slow lift and then a drop. What that creates is a flutter action like a dying bait fish. You can see they're all over it on the graph right now. Right there we've got 4 fish on the graph. We're working that jig right up through them. Hold that, hold that, hold that, let it drop.
Now there's one right there on the bottom. He's just coming down to it. Right there's the fish, right there's my lure. That red line there's the bottom. So we're gonna drop down to him. Got him. Took him long enough to find that jig. He finally smacked her. They're fun when they do that. It's just like having them on a yo-yo. Up and down and up and down. Fun. Yeah, this is going to be a good day. I can already
The fish
tell.
are really starting to stack through here and move. Mike's going up here on the spoon bite with the Sonic bait fish. We're having a little trouble getting the fish going this morning. I dropped a 2-inch tube just to see if we could get them to pick up. And a little bit of carp spit on that tube, and you can see the results for yourself right there. The fish are really slow this morning. You have to pay attention to your graph and watch how these fish are reacting to what you're doing. If you're paying attention to your electronics And what you're doing, the fish will tell you what they want. You'll catch more fish. Just a nice pup. You know, this, if you're going to eat them, this is the size you want to eat. There's a lot of these in the lake. They fry up wonderful. We're going to go ahead and turn him back, see if we can catch some more.
Oh boy. Here you come.
Still pup, huh?
Okay. See ya, buddy. Sonic bait fish, little plastic worm on there. Got a little glow bead on there for color. Nice white glow in the dark sonic bait fish. And put a little Procure on it again. That seems to be the magic elixir this year. We'll drop her down. It's all kinds of fun.
The fish are really slow right now. They're not aggressive. They're here and they're biting, but we're having to use a really slow and methodical presentation. They're dead. Odds are they will pick up, but what we're having to do right now is get these fish on the graph and then work them really, really slow. A dead stick bite or a slow lift bite. We're using two different presentations. One is with a spoon, one is with a tube. But the biggest thing right now is patience with these fish and slow. A lot of fast movement and these fish are just moving off. I get to whipping this rod around. These fish they're not gonna take it. It's a slow, methodical presentation right now.
Oh, there's a good one here. He's better one, a little heavier, fighting harder. Every fish a trophy on these little rods.
Welcome back to Flaming Gorge Reservoir. I'm Justin Wolff.
A little heavier, fighting harder.
So far so good for lake trout through the ice.
Every fish a trophy on these little rods. Okay, he's about done. Here he is. Oh, completely inside his mouth. We're gonna have to get the pliers and operate on that one. These teeth on here are just razor sharp, and there's little rows of them all the way around. The way these fish operate is they'll grab the minnow, sink the teeth into it, let it bleed to death, and then they'll turn it around and swallow it. You get your fingers in there, you're gonna get cut up.
That fish came on a dead stick bite. We just let the jig set right there in 55-foot of water, suspended over 70 foot. The fish targeted the jig. We let him get right on it. We just lifted it up slow. As soon as that jig moved, the fish took. These Macs have got razor sharp little teeth. And there's an agent on their teeth that when those cut you, you'll bleed. The little pliers right there are a lifesaver for your fingers out here with these Macs. Because these little teeth right here are like razors. Another excellent sized fish to eat. They get much bigger than this, they start getting a lot of fat in them, they're not that good. But if you're looking for fish to eat, nothing better than a lake trout through the ice.
Yahoo! Good trick with these fish is if you miss them, drop right back down to them. They'll bite it again. I think I hold the record for one fish 6 times on one drop. Every time he come unhooked to drop it back down, he'd hit it again. This one here, it took him a couple of minutes, but he'd come right back to it. That's a little better fish, I believe. At least he's struggling harder. All
right, here's the basic setup we're using right now. This is the 1/6 sonic bait fish I'm fishing a 4-pound test line here. And I'm running about 24 to 36 inches of a leader here. And then I'm running the invisible swivel. It's a fluorocarbon swivel. It's invisible out there to them fish. And the reason I'm running that up above that bait fish is when I'm sitting here jigging this, I don't want my line to get twisted up, giving my presentation an unnatural twist. It's been an excellent, excellent source for catching these fish this year.
We try different presentations. Sometimes it's a slow lift and a fast drop and the fish will chase it and eat it. They weren't responding as fast today. So what we did, we use a slow lift and the fish keys on it. We hold it still, just barely, maybe even pump the rod once or twice and then hold it still. Dead stick, the fish will come eat it. Play around with your presentation. Versatility is what makes a good fisherman. If you're stiff-necked and you say the same presentation all day long, you're not going to catch as many fish. Play with that presentation. Sometimes it's a lift and a drop, sometimes it's hold it still, sometimes it's a slow lift. But see what the fish likes. Pay attention to your electronics because that's going to tell you what those fish are doing when you move that lure a certain way. When you find what the fish like, have at it.
Welcome back, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Mike Hall and Luke Ellifritz are jigging these max lure sonic bait fish through the ice for Flaming Gorge lake trout, also known as Mackinac. Now there's plenty of fish, but they're being finicky about what presentation they'll accept. But when they do see what they want, there's little hesitation. Fishing in the same area today is Benny Ballon, a friend of Mike and Luke's and a successful old-school ice fisherman. Today, Mike gave him his first sonic bait fish, and you can see what happened with that.
I only had one jig. I only had one of those.
Now he's working a tube bait, which has been widely used on this lake for years.
I've been fishing up here since '63 when they made the reservoir. So what's that, 50 years? It's got to be at least 50 years. But we've come a long way since then. We didn't have any of this illegal stuff. That should be illegal. That is unreal. Yeah, hooty hoo.
Might be small, but it be mighty. Here you come.
We're technically just over the border into Wyoming, so naturally, by about lunchtime, it starts to get windy, which isn't any big deal
Nice
as
fish
long as
there.
you're prepared.
Nice fish. Anybody who lives in Wyoming knows it. The W word comes up at least once a day and it gets a little windy. That's exactly what we've got here. You get this clear ice like this, if you don't have cleats on the bottom of your shoes, you are going to go for a ride. It'll blow you clear across the lake and you won't be able to get back. We've been out where it's just glass smooth ice, and if you don't have cleats on, you're not getting back to the truck. Wear the cleats. They're fairly inexpensive. There's several different types you can buy. Keep you from slip and fall. Nice safety item. And it ensures that you'll be able to get back the truck where it's warm. I don't care what anybody says, this is fun stuff. Make me smile inside and outside both. Big thing with ice fishing is clothing. Layer your clothing. Good insulated jacket, nice hood, keeps the wind off of you. Another inner liner jacket keeps the wind and the bite of the cold off of you. Inside of that, you've got another layer, and then another layer, and then another layer under that. So by layering, you can take the clothing off or you can put it on. Keep it to where you're not sweating. If you start sweating, take off clothing. If you stop sweating, you get cold, put some back on. But layering's a big deal. A nice bravada that goes around, you can cover up, keep your ears warm, keep the chill off your neck if there's any wind. Real important item. It doesn't do you any good if it's somewhere else. You need it on the ice with you. Gloves, I use fingerless gloves because I'm handling fish and bait and I need the dexterity. Keep 2 pair with you, one fingerless, one with fingers. Because when you're going from point A to point B, your fingers are going to get cold. Frostbite is a real ugly deal, and cold fingers are miserable. If you got good gloves, you'll enjoy the day. Same thing with a hat. Make sure you've got a good solid hat, an insulated hat even. The same thing with foot gear. If you use foot gear, make sure that the boots have got at least 600 gram of Thinsulate in them, and that the soles are insulated, because you're going to be standing on a block of ice all day long. If you've got cold feet, you're going to be miserable. If you've got nice warm feet, you're going to be a happy camper. Ice is what you stand on. The thickness of the ice depends on the strength. 3 inches of ice will support people in single file and is relatively safe. Ice is never totally safe. You have to watch all the time. The ice today, and the easiest way I've found of measuring it, the width of your thumb is 1 inch. I take my dipper, I set it all the way down in and hook the bottom edge of the ice and measure it with my index finger. Then I can bring it up and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. So I'm not guessing anymore. I know I've got 8 inches of good, solid, clear ice. That's good, strong ice. That'll hold you up. If it's gray ice, it's weaker. The other thing you have to watch out for are pressure ridges. If you get pressure ridges from expansion and contraction or water currents, those are dangerous areas. Stay away from them. Be careful when you're crossing them. Ice safety is for everybody.
Welcome back to Flaming Gorge Reservoir, where Luke Ellifritz and Mike Hall have the lake trout dialed in, jigging a max lure sonic bait fish.
Took this fish right off the bottom, right out of the mud, and we're just about to get him on surface here. Here he comes. And that's a pretty good mac, actually. About a 2 or 3 pound mac there. Pro Cure trophy trout, the 1/6 sonic bait fish and chartreuse and white. They see it, they eat it. What I done here was took and went to a size 2 Gamakatsu octopus hook with a split ring, and all that does is gives me a little bit more in my shank. I can get a little better hook set on these fish, because we have got some better fish on that small spoon. It's not always a bigger lure for a bigger fish.
Besides lake trout, Flaming Gorge is well stocked with rainbow trout, which are great eating, so Mike and Luke have decided to spend the rest of the afternoon targeting rainbows.
We're going to fish for rainbows. We're going to use a sonic bait fish. Same setup as I was using for the Mackinaw, except that we're going to go to a mealworm for bait on the back end of it. I'm going to put it crossways on there. I'm going to pinch off the very end of it so the mealworm bleeds a little bit. Then we're going to just run it down and see if we can get fish up here in the shallower water. We've moved in from the main channel up against the shoreline. These fish tend to cruise a little flats and against the shoreline. You'll be much more productive at catching fish if you're in closer to the shallower water. These fish generally at Flaming Gorge Reservoir are in the first 30 foot of water year round. Yahoo! Get him? Big fish. Big fish. That's just like a chromer up in the river. That's my dinner today. By rigging it crosswise on there with the bait, we found that a little pump on the tip end will cause that to flip that hook up and down and wave that bait right at the fish's face. When he comes up to look, he's going to look at this spoon, and when he sees this wiggle, he's going to discern between the two, and he'll be able to pick up on the bait, and he'll bite the bait. The reason he came to visit is because you had the spoon on. But the reason he's biting is because of that worm and the way it's rigged.
Nice, healthy fish. Excellent table fare right there.
Yeah, no sense wasting time. You guys over there talking about it. I'm over here catching fish.
Fish on, fish on. Don't let anybody fool you. These rainbows can be a hoot out here, especially on these little ultralight rods. Look at that. Look at the pole on that fish right there. Get the kids out here and fish all day, have a heck of a time. He's mad. This fish has got shoulders. Oh yeah, that's it. We've messed up and caught a big mac. Yeah, these macs will come up on these flats like this, and they're picking on these small bait fish and everything else too. Don't ever be surprised to pick one up. That fish right there is going to go 5 pounds. Nice bonus when you're fishing for rainbows.
Right now at Flaming Gorge Reservoir, all of the fish come from Jones Hole Fish Hatchery, which is a federally funded fish hatchery. It runs about 1 million trout a year that they put into the reservoir, and they are the rainbows. There's 2 different varieties, a McConaughey and a Eagle Lake. The Eagle Lake variety came out of California. They're a high pH, I'm getting a fish. They're a high pH tolerant fish, which is very much the same water conditions we have here. Real bright orange meat. I actually prefer to eat the rainbows over the kokanee salmon, and that's saying something.
The proverbial last fish.
That's the one we're looking for today. That's a nice fish. That'll do it.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Angler West TV. You know, it's only with the sponsor support that this show is made possible, so please thank them when you can. Now get out there and do some great fishing.